We have so many user questions and a lot of different random things to talk about. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on these games. We did have a Valencia game. We're through. We won. Alba and Laka were amazing. And we'll talk about the final in a bit. Anyone want to add anything to this game other than the fact that job done, James?
No, I mean, I think you said what I would have said, just how brilliant the front two were, particularly Aubameyang. I thought he was unplayable. His best game in an Arsenal shirt. And I was really scared at the start and then felt all right when we got that first away goal.
Andy, it was a professional job after the first 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got really nervous, and then once the away goal went in, I just thought it's over at this point. I didn't expect it to be a thrashing like it was, but I had both TVs at the pub on Arsenal and Chelsea, and so I think I was a little bit more watching the Chelsea match just because that was a little bit more entertaining after our drubbing of Valencia.
You went to the pub for this one, huh? They actually got to experience the Andy Rhodes experience?
Well, I went to a pub, not the pub.
Oh, I see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's move on to Burnley. Couple of things. The lineup, obviously, Ozil, Socrates, Torreira, all out of the 18. Xhaka, Kolasinac, Lacazette, and Mainsley all on the bench and eventually unused. Frankly, I think these guys are going to sit out the final as well because they want to be fully rested for the USA tour that starts in mid-July. So, the Colorado Rapids winless in 25 games. We're gonna need a full squad for that.
We are, yeah.
But really, actually, a stronger than expected performance from what I thought was a weaker than expected 11. I know this morning, James, you and Andrew talked about the fact that it was pretty much par for the course of what you expected in the lineup. I didn't. There was one scenario, and things happened to us somehow. So if we didn't know Manchester United was going to shit the bed and finish sixth without our help, but had we finished sixth, had Watford, who just got one of their best players back on a red card rescinding for the FA Cup final, had they beaten Manchester City, we would have basically been playing to win the Europa League and not have to play in qualifiers in Cyprus and Kazakhstan in mid-July. So there was something to play for, something pretty big to play for in that game.
Yeah.
But it was a good performance nonetheless out of some players that we might not normally have been used to seeing.
Yeah, that is a really good point, and we probably didn't make enough of that on our show. The schedule is going to be crazy potentially for United, so it was good. I just don't want to. I don't want to risk finishing below United. They've been so terrible this season, particularly in two spells under Mourinho and then latterly under Solskjaer. So, yeah, I thought we did pretty well. Burnley's a tough place to go. I saw Jurgen Klopp's post-match interview in the Liverpool game, and he was being told that Salah tied for the Golden Boot with Salah and Mane tied with Aubameyang, and he said, "Oh wow, he scored 2 goals at Burnley." He said, "I never would have expected that." And I think that shows you, it's a tricky place to go, and they're usually pretty solid defensively. So I thought 3-1 was a good result.
Yeah, we usually need a handball in the 93rd minute in order to beat those guys at Burnley.
Yeah.
Or like a disputed penalty after their penalty in extra time. This was the least wackiest ending game that we've ever had against Burnley, but it was a good result. Andy, to me, there were 2 stories of this game. One, Alex Iwobi, best game I've seen him play in a while. Man of the match, in my opinion, ran all over the pitch. Kept seeing him in almost a left wing back role, even though we weren't necessarily playing with wing backs. Had more tackles than anybody on the pitch. Part of his game, which I think he's really improved this season, is coming back on defense because, he certainly hasn't improved his final product. But when you can pull off an assist, and I swear, James, I was already making this point, and then I heard it on your podcast this morning. I did not copy it, but the Alexis-like standing scoop, perfect ball. We used to see him just kind of stand straight up, take like a 2-inch back swing and put it on a rope to somebody, and Iwobi clearly has picked up that skill because that ball to Aubameyang for the first goal was just amazing. Great game overall. Andy, the Is that the best you've seen from Iwobi, or is this?
Yeah,
more,
I thought
have
he
just
played
not been
great.
looking?
And I was going to ask you guys, I mean, with this lineup being a bit odd considering the Cup final 16 days or 17 days from now, and so if there is a minor injury, we have enough time to rehab. I get leaving some of the players out, but do you think this was kind of a swan song for some players, and then other players, hey, go out and impress me before the market opens? Because that's the way I saw it when I first saw the lineup. I thought he's giving Mavropanos a run to say, hey, where do I better need to strengthen? Can I trust this kid? And then I looked at like the El Nini, like, is this his last match in an Arsenal shirt? And then I even thought with Iwobi, like, he hasn't started him for a while. So I guess I'll throw it back to you guys. Do you think that he's doing this to kind of give the last run or impression, or is that not how it works? Mike?
I think he's doing it for that last run or impression. No, let's pass it to James because I was tweeting while you were asking that question. We're so professional.
I think it was a good buy of sorts for some players, a bit of a swan song. You definitely think Lichtsteiner. I think almost certainly El Neni, because he's just not really been prominently involved under Emery. Iwobi, I've noticed that he's been selected less and less, and he didn't play a single minute of either of the Valencia games. I know we're playing a different shape in those games that doesn't necessarily suit him, and Mkhitaryan appears to be the first sub ahead of him. But I think that's why this was an important performance for him. I think it makes him a more attractive option off the bench. I think he created 5 chances in the game. It was a really strong all-round display, particularly in the second half. So I think Emery likes Iwobi, but I just think he's been in a bit of a dip of form of late. But other players I thought impressed. I mean, Guendouzi, I thought, had one of his better games of recent weeks. And actually, looking at the younger players, I thought Joe Willock did pretty well too.
Yeah.
Maybe he's someone who put his name in the frame as someone who could be a contender to be involved with the squad next season.
Yeah, I thought the same thing with the Willock. We're so light in that creative central midfield area. Mike, are you tweeting or are you with us now?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm always with you.
It was a unique lineup, but you know what? They did what they had to do, as you mentioned before. There was something to play for. Making sure. I mean, obviously United shit the bed, but we needed to best them, and so I'm glad that we did. And it was a fun last day of the season for a lot of different teams. But I think we've got 16 days of kind of just training videos that we're going to be watching before Baku.
Yeah, they're going to be doing film work a lot. The second part of the game that has to be discussed is Aubameyang. Oft criticized, transfer listed by some people for whatever reason. Dude has a 3-way share of the Golden Boot now. He's scored 5 goals in the last 2 games, 4 games in a row with goals, and 5 games out of the last 7. I mean, he's pretty much been on fire in the business end of the season. We have 2 outstanding, really different and complementary strikers. There's no one surplus or requirements in that situation, and the rumors are they're on the verge of contract extensions with the numbers 250 a week being thrown out there. Do you think that's well deserved, James? I mean, again, you talked about it a little bit this morning, but the of the 2 are very different. But do we think that's after our contract extensions and non-contract extensions? Would you do it with both of these people here?
I actually would. I know there's been sort of debate about, we didn't obviously extend Ramsey's contract and we've invested a lot of money in Mesut Ozil, but when I look at the end product and the tangible reward that Aubameyang and Lacazette give us, I think they're worth that. I think they're worth their weight in gold, to be honest, to us at the moment. And when I look ahead to next season, there's a lot of debate about, do we need to prioritize one or the other and go with one up front? I'd be looking to build around those 2 because I think in tandem, they're as good a strike pair as you'll find in Europe. I can't think of another pair of strikers like that. And granted, there aren't that many teams playing with it too, but I think it gives us a point of difference. It guarantees goals. Aubameyang's record of late has been unbelievable. I mean, what he's done since moving to England, the impact that he's had is pretty extraordinary, to be honest. It's been an incredible 18 months. So, yeah, I wouldn't begrudge either of them a pay rise, especially if it means we get to keep them.
Is he possibly on the track to be one of those like fastest to 100 Premier League goal type guys? I mean, maybe not in the share capacity, but I mean, a lot of guys who have a lot of goals, Salah, Mane. They played many Premier League seasons where they weren't scoring that many goals, either for Southampton or for Chelsea. Yeah. So he could, be in that discussion, and he's probably Premier League goal wise only about 3 seasons away from that.
Yeah, because I mean, all his goals last season pretty much were Premier League goals, weren't they? Because he was cup tied in Europe, and he was in double figures then. So he's clear of 30 Premier League goals already. I reckon he must be one of the fastest to 50. Certainly, when he gets there, I'd have to look at the numbers, but
it's between him and Theo, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the 2 or 3 seasons ago, we were desperate for a striker, and a lot of teams are desperate for strikers. And I think Lacazette and Aubameyang almost walk into 95% of the squads across Europe. So the fact that we have both of them is absolutely outstanding. And I echo James. I think we need to figure out a way to play both of them at the same time. Considering you see one of them pop to the wing, Lacazette likes to drop deep and get the ball. I mean, we can figure out a way to work with both of them. And if you look at like the teams that Aguero and Salah have around them, and the creation and the chances that they're given each match, the fact that Aubameyang equaled what they did this season both of those players, keep in mind, every week went in to every match knowing they had to win. We went into every match, fuck knows what was going to happen, right? But imagine putting better players behind Aubameyang and Lacazette and giving them more creation and better service. I mean, yeah, we were there, we were creative, but you look at the depth of Liverpool and City and just all the players that they have that could have created opportunities for them. And it's just, you need to build around them. And I think Unai inherited such an ace upfront duo that he would be silly to sell one of them on. We don't need to do that. If we were just absolutely cash-strapped, and Mike, I mean, we're not, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, we're in such a lucky position, and there are teams that would beg for one of those 2 players.
And you're right. Most of their service has come from each other, frankly.
Absolutely,
which is nuts when you think about it. What's faster than Theo Walcott and faster than Aubameyang is how quickly they got the Golden Boot award after the game. I mean, literally, I think they were still in injury time. Nketiah's goal had just crossed the line, and there was some dude sprinting onto the pitch to throw the award at Aubameyang. And that being said, how many? We know there's one Stanley Cup trophy. It's right over my shoulder, actually. But how many Golden Boots are there out there? Because they had to have had like 5 or 6 or 7 of those at the various stadiums. Raheem Sterling could have gotten a bunch of goals. Vardy was in the shout. Gylfi Sigurdsson could have scored 9 goals yesterday, and they would have had to come up with a Golden Boot for him. So I find that impressive. I mean, sharing the award is one thing, but like bringing it out to every single person that had a chance to win
they just had drones flying from each stadium, and whenever a goal went in, the drone changed location, and then that's how they did it.
The drone would disconnect the Wenger out sign from the back of it and just drop a gold boot in their ass.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Ashley Barn, you could suck it. I don't think Leno could have endeared me any more than he already has with his shot-stopping abilities in recent weeks. But god damn, after his classic act, and you guys called it the full layman, which I think was great, on Barnes, I'm ready to hand him the Ballon de goalkeeper. I mean, what a guy. Andy, as a goalkeeper yourself, have you ever just like pretty much anally raped somebody and then had them get a yellow card?
Actually, this is a true story.
I'm not promoting anal rape.
I actually did, and the kid got a red card. It was a rival high school, but the kid and I played club together. And on a corner kick, he backed into me and gave me like a cheeky elbow. But we were like laughing and talking, and as he did it, I basically Suarez myself into the goal, screaming "ow!" and the ref gave him a red card, and I felt so guilty about it. And,
carries it around with him to this day.
No, it was so, and he does bring it up to me quite often. So
maybe that guilt is where your hemorrhoids come from.
Yeah, maybe.
It's an exacerbating factor,
Yeah. But maybe he and I need to go to couples therapy. I don't know.
Yeah, that was probably a little bit
but
extra.
No, yeah. I mean,
that was extra. That was couple therapy extra.
Yeah, but no, it was great to see him do that. I mean, I've never liked Barnes, but, at the end of the day, it's the last day of the season, so who gives a shit. But